Nowadays, you can get anything on the internet. No matter how crazy or strange it is what you're looking for, we're sure you'll find it on the internet. That's why many young people can't resist the temptation to sit at the computer all day and see what fresh and novel ideas or news they can bump into online. However, not everything is honey on flakes. And as you can find interesting things, you can also find terrifying videos or images. Some unexplained events that most likely won't let you sleep well at night. You don't believe us? Well, then make yourself comfortable in your seat, because we're about to show you 5 unexplainable videos that will give you nightmares. But before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Ghost Bus. Most likely, you've heard about objects that move by themselves when no one pays attention. The internet is full of videos with this type of situation, so that's probably something that isn't surprising for you anymore. However, some time ago, a strange recording captured by a surveillance camera that shocked a large part of the inhabitants of Colombia was published on social networks. You don't believe what we're telling you? Well, then we'll show it to you. In this footage, you can see a yellow bus parked at the end of a street. At first, you don't notice anything strange or mysterious in the clip. There are pedestrians and cars moving from one place to another. But it's just after a smaller car leaves the parking lot and passes the bus when things start to get strange. Unexpectedly, it begins to slowly move backwards as if someone was driving it. What do you think? Many theories were generated from the publication of this video, but no conclusion was reached that clearly explained the event. First, the bus was at the end of a slope, so the hypothesis that it had been dragged by the gravity of the road was discarded. Also, it's important to take into account the movement of the vehicle. It didn't go backwards in a regular way. Instead, it leaned to one side until it got over the sidewalk. The peculiar behavior of dogs was also another thing that was impossible to explain. If you watch the video carefully, you'll notice they start barking restlessly in the direction of the bus. Even one of them seems to be dragged along with it by an external force when it gets too close to the yellow vehicle. What do you think? Unfortunately, no other details noted besides the surprise of some men who came to verify what was happening after hearing the barking of the dogs. But we're sure that no matter how many attempts are made to explain the event, the witnesses will never forget what happened there. It may not give you nightmares right away. However, just imagine finding yourself driving your car one day and it suddenly starts to operate without you having to control it. It could cause a fatal accident. Maybe now you don't find it such a nice idea, do you? Number 4. The Woman of the Forest. You've gone camping with your family or friends at least once. Getting in touch with Mother Nature, trees, planets, and the earth is a sensation that many love. Why would you travel to the beach when you can go to the forest? There'll be annoying people or children who cry because they lost their ice cream. There'll be only you and your people there, enjoying the pleasant moment that only the outdoors is capable of offering. However, nothing is perfect, and sometimes even a risky trip to the forest can lead to a mysterious and inexplicable event. At least that's what happened to a group of friends when they went on a vacation to a forest area in England. The idea was to have a fun day, take some photos, know the surroundings of the forest, and eat a healthy lunch. But things took an unexpected turn when they decided to fly a drone to help them see the landscape from above. They were flying the device for a long time, until in one of the shots the images stopped abruptly by something they seemed to see. When they looked at the recording more closely, they noticed a strange image among the trees that didn't seem to be an animal. And since curiosity isn't exactly a virtue in human beings, these young people decided to take a shot a little closer that would help them discover what was there. If you look carefully at the images we'll show you next, you'll notice that what was hidden among the trees was a woman dressed in white that seemed to make some quite strange movements, as if she was spying on somebody. Maybe at first glance it doesn't seem anything out of the ordinary, as it's an area frequently visited by tourists. But according to various sources, it's known that the trees can be seen in the video are between 6 and 12 meters high, which would give the mysterious woman in the captured image an approximate size of 3 meters if we consider the contrast between her and the branches. How about that? That's a very improbable conclusion, but one that can't deceive our eyes. Even though these guys, along with the experts who were responsible for analyzing the video, they failed to discover the identity of the terrifying woman. They also didn't find a logical explanation that could confirm why it looked that size. Later, the boys discovered that this forest in England was quite known in the past due to the strange disappearance of 3 children. Spooky, don't you think? We're sure these curious young people won't go back to this forest after this event, which will surely follow them forever, even in their dreams. Number 3. Creature in the Cemetery. When you go to the cemetery, probably what you least expect to bump into is some ghostly being. Yes, maybe this is the perfect setting for all kinds of paranormal events to take place. Both cinema and television have implanted that terrifying chip into our heads. But most people tend to try to ignore this fear and focus on the reason that has really driven them to visit this place: the burial of a loved one or the routine visit to the family's grave. Well, that's what we think. We don't want to imagine someone going to this place shaking with fear because they know they can find something strange. That would be absurd. That's why what happened to this young man when he was innocently visiting a cemetery will give you goosebumps. The recording only lasts a few seconds, but the content is terrifying enough to give you nightmares at night. It happened in an unknown location while the boy was recording the mausoleums with his cell phone. In the middle of one of those movements, notice how a strange figure is lost between the edges of a tree. Thinking the person is going to come out on the other side, the young man waits patiently. Maybe he thought it was some joke from his friends, but nothing happens. That's when the boy goes to the tree. Something quite brave if we analyze the situation and the environment he's in. Another person would have run away upon noticing something strange or unusual when visiting the cemetery. However, as soon as the man focuses the camera behind the tree, his surprise is enormous when he realizes there is nobody there. How about that? Is that the right moment to run? Indeed, because immediately the boy panics and runs away from the place seconds before the recording ends. What do you think he actually saw? Was it a joke, or, on the contrary, did a creature from the tombs make an appearance? The answer still remains a mystery. And although in various social networks many of the viewers have tried to offer an explanation, most of them prefer to stay on the sidelines and keep their opinions to themselves. Whatever the creature that disappeared behind the trees was, we're sure the boy will never forget. What do you think? Number 2. The Possessed Baby. There's no doubt that young children are the sweetest and most innocent beings that exist. Of course, at least until they grow up and begin to develop their own personalities. Some of these personalities aren't so attractive, but that's another thing for a different time. The point is that we can't help but love them. With their tearful eyes and babble making no sense, they're capable to soften the heart of the toughest adult. However, the video we'll show you next isn't touching at all. The only touching is the crying of the small one while he calls his mother. Do you dare to see it? Well, he's captured through a camera his parents have placed in the room to monitor him, the disturbing image of what appears to be a demonic possession. The child is in his crib, struggling to get out of it, when suddenly we see him rise above the railing and keeping an incredible balance, raising his arms to the ceiling with his eyes shining terrifyingly before falling back into the bed. What do you think? We don't know the source of the video, as well as what led his parents to record any paranormal activity inside the child's room. The only thing we're sure of is that they won't leave him alone anymore, much less when seconds later the little baby tries to escape from the cradle and falls hard to the floor. The recording evidently went viral on the internet. Many theories in which they claimed the child had been the victim of a demonic possession were the most commented topic. Others kept their opinions to themselves when they couldn't offer a clear explanation of the events. What do you think now? Was it really demonic possession, or was it all a trick to get attention? The final decision is yours. We just hope you can fall asleep after getting your conclusion. Number 1. Sweet Nightmare. In the first position of our top 5, we have a video that honors our title. This woman made sure to place a camera inside her room before going to bed. The reasons that prompted her to do so are unknown, but many sources said that perhaps she did it with the intention of discovering what bothered her at night. If you don't believe us, then you'd better hold onto the chair, because what you're about to see will probably make you tremble. The woman is deeply asleep, innocent of what is happening around her, when all of a sudden her body begins to levitate as if it were being lifted by an external force. It stays that way for a few seconds. Even her hands fall to the side, as if she had lost the ability to move. If before the young woman thought something strange happened at night when she went to bed, we're sure that after seeing what happens in the images, she won't do it again. What do you think? Many people offered their opinions on the internet, but they couldn't explain the reason for this paranormal event. How would you feel if something similar happened to you? Would you be able to place cameras in your room to capture what happened? We hope you're a heavy sleeper like the woman in the video. Otherwise, we're sure you'll experience the worst nightmare ever, even if you're awakened. Alright, Top 5ers, if you haven't already, make sure to visit our other channel, The Brilliant, for even more interesting list videos that'll blow your mind. But I'm warning you, the videos over on The Brilliant are extremely addicting to watch as well. There'll be a link in the description to the channel, so make sure to come and visit us. Or you can go to our latest video popping up on screen right now. Oh, and have you visited TheFinestPost.com to enjoy the most amazing articles you'll ever get to read?